If you want to make international travel as stress-free and rewarding as possible, listen up because this video is for you. My name is Tayson and I'm the founder here at Outdoor Vitals. And recently we took a 9-day trip to Europe to go to a trade show in Germany. The trade show is awesome. We got to meet a lot of great people there, but since we were in Europe, we decided to do a little bit extra. After the trade show was over, we headed down to Austria to enjoy the Austrian Alps and just enjoy some additional sightseeing. And guess what? This is all I brought with me. Less than 12 pounds worth of gear in a carry-on bag. And in this video, I wanna take you through everything that I brought in great detail. I'm gonna call out some pro tips that you're gonna wanna stay till the end if you wanna make international travel as easy and rewarding as possible. All right, so let's go ahead and unpack this bag and pay attention to how I have this bag packed, because this, for the most part, was how the bag was for the entire trip. So starting right here in the very top pocket, I have a pair of sunglasses inside of a protective case. I will say that was something I could have left behind because the sun hardly shone itself while we were there. I have an international charger. Now this is something, if you haven't traveled internationally, that can be extremely useful and critical, but you might also be able to pick up when you're there. Due to some of the public safety announcements and things in Germany, I did have a mask with me. I had a battery bank, and then I had my regular phone charging system. Inside of here though, you'll notice that there's another pocket that I typically kept locked inside of there. When I pull this one open, this is where I kept some of the more valuable items, such as my passport and my car key. Now, pro tip here, don't take your entire car key set, just take the key that you need, strap it in here and forget that you have it inside your pack. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. Now in this pocket right here, I've got a few things. I do like to take a book with me when I travel to do some reading, usually on the plane or in transit. Right here inside of this mesh pocket, I've got a small notebook. I bring some necessities here. So for me, I had vitamin C, I had Ibuprofen, I had some Tums. Sometimes your stomach can get upset changing time zones as drastically as I was doing, which is all good, as well as some greens and a little bit of emergency. Got some pens and pencils right here, as well as business cards, because again, this was a business trip, at least the first few days of it. Now this one might surprise you. This is my Garmin InReach Mini 2. I brought this, one, because I already have a subscription and I already have it, but two, as added security. Sometimes when you're going into additional areas, you might not be sure how your phone's gonna work or where you have service. And so this was just a backup that I kept with me and my wife as we did some additional traveling to make sure that we could always have contact or stay connected. The nice thing about these is they're going to work worldwide. And that is everything that I had in this top pocket. Down here in this bottom pocket, which I won't be able to show you on camera, is this hidden zippered pocket. And really the only thing that I kept in here for this trip was just a little bit of spare cash. On the side pockets, I kept this. This is a Hydropack stash water bottle. I really like this because as you're going through security on and off airplanes, you can't have water, but by simply opening this up, I've got a liter capacity of water to take on the airplane or as I'm traveling around. On this side of the bag, I just threw some gloves. So these are a little bit overkill, but these are about 120 gram per square meter gloves. So they're insulated, they're quite warm. These turned out to be really nice, especially when we rented some scooters to get around town. All right, so that's everything in the exterior pockets of this. So let's go ahead and dive into the main compartment. I did bring my OV membership hat, which was super useful as I was traveling around. I've got a Vario jacket right here, and on the side drop pockets, I've got a few things. So in one of the side drop pockets right here, I had a little phone tripod. This is really nice to get shots of me and my wife, as well as just some B-roll shots that we can use here around the office. And I had this piece right here. This is our Drifter 16-liter packable backpack. Now this actually will pack into its own little side pocket, so it's super convenient to travel with, right? When I'm getting on and off an airplane, I will typically take my book, my charging accessories, any snacks or things that I might have for the airplane ride, and I'll put it in this so that I can put this in the overhead compartment and take this right to my seat. There's only one thing I believe, or maybe two things that I left in here for right now, because they really never came out of here. was my Outer Vitals travel pillow. So if you don't know what this is just a horseshoe style pillow that you're gonna put around your neck and has a button in the front, which is super handy. So you can see what that's kind of gonna look like. So I leave that in here, as well as these. Now these are some pro tips, some things I picked up over time. Yes, I bring a sleeping mask with me. On an airplane, it's super, super nice. And sometimes when you're just in those different time zones, it can just be helpful to have that added extra, darkness. You don't really know what room you're staying in. You don't know how dark it'll be. And so things like this can be very handy, as well as a set of earplugs. So that's everything I have in the Drifter for right now. However, that would get loaded up and loaded down throughout the entire trip. Right here, I've got my DOP bag. So this is like my toiletries. I'm gonna go ahead and pull things out of here. I've got like hair product, hairbrush, I've got toothbrush. Make sure that you're switching down to a small travel size toothpaste. Got my beard oil, gotta keep that looking good out there. And then I do have like a couple of Band-Aids that have been roaming around in here, as well as I do have a full-size deodorant. They don't make the deodorants that I like in this style, or in this size, like in a smaller size. So what I do is I just get them to where they're mostly gone, and then that's the one that I'm gonna take to make sure I'm not carrying extra weight there. Okay, all that leaves now inside this entire pack is my compressed clothing right here. Now, the very top thing we gotta talk about, this is a pair of binoculars that I did take on the trip. I would say that I really, if you've watched some of our other videos, you know that I like to have these. I really enjoy looking at my surroundings when I'm there. However, on this particular trip, I really didn't use them. And if I could leave anything behind in the future, I would probably leave these behind, or maybe switch to a single monocular just to save a little bit of weight and bulk. You'll see right here, I've got a Nova Pro. So I had a Vario jacket as well as a Nova Pro. This honestly was overkill. Because I had the space and the ability, I did bring both of them to try to give me maximum comfort, be able to just kind of tailor in which piece I wanted to wear that day. If I was gonna do it again, I would just bring the Nova Pro and probably have left this piece home. However, I wasn't really sad about bringing them both on this particular trip because I used them both quite a bit. In case I was doing some working out or lounging around, I have some prototype shorts of ours. Here I've got 2 pairs of socks and 2 pairs of underwear. I've got the Dragon Wool, as well as a different pair of wool underwear that I was trying out. So I bring 2 pairs of these, plus obviously what I'm wearing, right? What that gives me the ability to do is go about 3 days between doing any kind of laundry. And that's more than enough time to be able to find a time and a place to do laundry. So for me personally, this is how I like to work. I mean, a lot of times too with wool, you can get by even going longer, maybe not with the underwear side of things, but more on the socks and the shirt. So as far as tops that I took a Tern merino wool hoodie. I took a Tern merino wool t-shirt. I had this is like my workout piece. This is an Altitude sun hoodie of ours, which I was mainly using for working out and higher activity levels. But you'll see here, I had a hoodie and a t-shirt, and right now what I'm wearing is the same gear that I was wearing there, which is a hoodie and a t-shirt. All of these are merino wool. So you can be sitting on an airplane, you're gonna have your arms at your side the entire flight, 10 hours over the ocean. You're going to have things like body odor developing. But by what you choose, you can really reduce the amount of laundry, how much you have to launder, so how hard you have to scrub, how much soap you're having to use, or anything like that by using a merino wool product. Plus, obviously, there's that added benefit of just extreme comfort. For instance, the hoodie on an airplane is extremely nice. I don't know if you've traveled over the ocean, but typically at some point you'll wake up and just be freezing because everyone's air is on and everyone's sleeping, which is where something like this was really helpful to stay comfortable. Okay, continuing through the bag here, this was another area where I overkilled it a little bit. I took 2 different leggings on this trip. These I was using in night markets so that I could test them out. I was doing a little bit of gear testing along the way. The last thing that I have in this bag right here is the Sawtooth pants. These have been absolutely phenomenal because keep in mind, I was going from business and work to touring and going through the Alps and doing a lot of traveling, a lot of walking, and these were absolutely critical. The DWR finish keeps them looking really, really nice. Obviously, add some stain and things like that, repellent. But also, I did wash these in my hotel room while there. And because they're 100% polyester with that mechanical stretch, they dry extremely fast. Because they dry extremely fast, they're super low odor. And so you can get by a lot of days wearing these pants. You can look good, you can travel right, you've got the right amount of pocketing. These are a critical piece. This is my pair of Beats headphones. These are noise canceling headphones, and these have drastically changed my comfort level when traveling. Obviously, your wallet. One thing I did want to note here is what you're bringing with you. Make sure to bring some extra cash, but also I never ever use a debit card. However, when you're traveling internationally, make sure you bring a debit card so you can pull cash out when you're in that country in the currency that you are looking for. All right, so time to tackle another critical piece of gear for traveling. That is going to be your cell phone. You'll notice here on the table that I did not have a laptop, that I did not have a tablet. And that was very much on purpose. And this is actually the first time that I personally have traveled without those items. You see, I always had this belief that I needed that laptop. What if something at work came up and I needed to be able to get on that laptop and work? What if, right? This time I made a very conscious decision to use my phone for everything. However, the one app to me that empowered me to do this was an app called LastPass. This saves all of my passwords that are on my computer and everywhere else for me to be able to access on my phone. And that was a big turning point for me because a laptop and a charger are extremely heavy, and they, because of their rigidity, take up more room in your pack than you realize. All right, it's time to talk about my very favorite piece of gear, number one on my list, before I get into some additional pro tips. That is going to be the Coda UL backpack. This piece was absolutely critical to empower me to do the trip that I wanted to do. And one of the ways that it's empowering is just the fact that this always stays with me. Every time that I cross a border into a new country, get off the airplane, I don't have to go recheck my baggage, wait for it on the little carousel, go take it through security, go get it rechecked. None of that. It just comes with me everywhere I go, so I'm not getting held up by that. Not to mention the ability to take it with me on the daily basis. My very favorite feature on the Coda UL is the frame and carrying ability of this pack. Inside of this little area right here, you have a hip belt. Now this hip belt is a full-sized, padded, comfortable hip belt that allows you to really stay comfortable while this is getting loaded up. Now, for this particular scenario, I stayed extremely light. However, as the days go on, sometimes you're accumulating things out there, which is one of the pro tips I'm going to give you right now. Keep your bag light and keep it not at maximum capacity so that as you want to purchase things, souvenirs, you want to bring something home for your family. For us, I can't even tell you how many chocolate bars I brought back home. In fact, I used the Drifter was not inside my pack by the time I was coming home because I simply had so much chocolate in this to bring home to family members. But don't go with a completely full backpack, right? As you go along, this pack will get a little bit heavier, and because of that, it is extremely important to me to have a very comfortable padded hip belt with a full-size frame and the ability to get a load lift on here. This is essentially as comfortable as a backpack would be for backpacking, which is designed simply to carry heavy gear all day long, but this is a travel backpack. And that is a critical differentiator and one of the primary reasons that I decided to develop the Coda UL to begin with. All right, so throughout this video, I've been giving you a handful of my pro tips, but there's two left that I wanted to talk about. Number one, bring some kind of a phone stand. For me, I had a phone stand built into my phone, but in previous times, I've used this Night Eyes phone stand, which is super helpful. This is less than an ounce, but what this allows you to do is just prop up your phone for those long flights, and that is extremely nice and helpful because let's face it, you're gonna be downloading things to watch on those flights these days. The last one, and this is a critical one, especially for gear, is related to shoes, okay? This is the pair of shoes that I brought. These are an Innovate shoe. What I like about these and what I would say to look for in a pair of shoes is something that can look professional. So I really like black, but it's also going to be comfortable. Something that has tread on it if you're going to be going off trail or hiking at all, which is something that we did. But picking the right pair of shoes so you don't have to bring 2 sets of shoes will save you more weight, bulk, and space in that pack than almost any other decision that you can make out there. So pick the right pairs of shoes. If there's pieces of gear that I did not list that you think are absolutely critical for international travel, drop them in the comments down below. I hope this inspires you to get out there and cross some borders. But if you need a little bit more encouragement, go check out our podcast on the Live Ultralight podcast, where I interviewed Glenn Anderson, who is an expert on these exact kind of trips. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys out on the trail.